It was just about a year ago on my next guest's 60th birthday that he first started feeling sick. He was rushed to the hospital, sedated, woke up 12 days later, unable to even touch his nose. But after weeks of intensive recovery at Spaulding Rehab and weeks more of physical therapy at home, he started to regain his strength. And on July 24th, Robert Lewis Jr. joined Governor Baker and Mayor Walsh in throwing out the first pitch at the Red Sox home opener. All the while, he's continued his work with countless others in the community as well, helping them navigate some of the hardest aspects of this pandemic. And he joins me now. He's also founder and president of The Base, a wonderful program, provides mostly black and Latino kids in and around Boston with high-quality baseball and resources to help them reach their fullest potential, both on and off the field. Robert, it's great to see you.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Great to see you as well.
So it's hard to even say this. You almost died from COVID-19. How has that changed the way you live?
Wow, there's just so much to it, Jim. It's and I think back a year ago, and you think about your birthday and that this COVID almost killed me, right? But the impact it's had on my family. So, as this year has gone by, I think there's things that I've come to realize. One is just the importance of family, man, the importance of family, which meant a lot. It's also been hard because you're not able to see your friends and folks that were part of your life. But I also realized, too, that, you realize the inequities around the COVID and some of the issues of race and how that's affected me. But I'll tell you, there's been a lot that's changed, but I feel like it's opened up my eyes. I feel like I'm awake in ways that I think that I cared about these issues of race and all those other things, but this thing really hit us home, and the pandemic and the racial reckoning just brought so much to the forefront that I realized that me and my role in what I did, there was more that I needed to do in addressing and taking on of these issues.
Well, I want to talk about what you do, and people who are also suffering big time are the kids you've dedicated your life to. Learning loss, isolation, all that sort of thing. How are they weathering this pandemic storm, Robert?
It's hard. It's hard, right? We think of the learning loss, and for us, it's a question of, educational equity. Like, our kids were behind and struggling when they were in school with a teacher.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, our young folks are adapting for those that have access to technology. And then did they have access to the internet? Our folks struggling with food, families that were dads and moms that were like laid off, and not laid off with a stimulus check, laid off because they worked under the table. So I'm glad our young folks have a place where we can offer services, our baseball, softball, basketball, that we can offer learning pods, and for folks to for us to figure out how do we help to try to level this educational inequity that's going on. And so our young folks at least have a place to come to, but it's been hard, man. It's been hard for them and their families. Homes and houses and apartments weren't made to be classrooms and libraries. And our folks are figuring out how to adapt during this time.
Your life has been like problem solving on steroids in virtually everything you've done. Is there a plan out there? I don't just mean within the base and within some of your brother and sister organizations to help these kids recoup what they lost in this past year?
I can speak to, folks that I've talked to. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about what do we do this summer? What do we do this summer about learning loss? How do we but then also, while we have educators thinking about that, Jim, we also have families that are saying, last summer, our kids could not go out to parks and playgrounds. So now we have parents that want to get their kids out to be active and playing and being physically engaged and looking at enrichment and sporting activities, while also thinking about how do we address this learning loss. But also, while we're trying to address the learning loss, how are we dealing with the emotional, social, and psychological issues that a lot of our young folks and families are still dealing with today?
You know, when I spoke to you for the first time after your bout with COVID, I asked you why you were talking about this publicly, and you said because it gave you an opportunity to address what you just mentioned a minute ago, the racial gap, the racial divide in healthcare and so many other things. I just spoke to the dean of BU School of Public Health about the same thing. When I asked him if he thought that the spotlight on these inequities during COVID would lead to more positive addressing of them prospectively, he said the exact same two words that you said months ago to me. I hope so. That's not very optimistic. Are you, or are you not?
Listen, I have to believe that Boston, as this city that likes to claim ourselves as the best in education, the best in higher ed, the best in hospitals, the best in life sciences, the best in arts and culture. I hope that Boston says there's a next best too. And that best is our investment in urban young folks. Because if we don't, Jim, we and our young folks are that future workforce. We're the future of this 21st century economy. So I have to believe if Boston is the best, and we love to claim this, we have nothing more than a moral obligation than to step up to ensure that our young folks are going to get this equity. Because let's be honest, they've earned this right. Our folks in our community has earned this right to be educated, to be fed, to be healthy, and to get the best of, if Boston's the best. Because Boston can't be the best of, and it's not for the folks that live here as well.
Robert, those kids are lucky to have you, and we're lucky to have you too. I'm glad you're well. Take care of yourself.
Jim, thank you so much, and always thank you for all you do to shed a spotlight on these issues. Appreciate you.